Batgirl, issue 19, legacy number 224, TATE BROMBAL writing with TAKESHI MIYAZAWA on the art. And this one wraps up this three-part arc where we've been into Spirit World and we'll be going to the tower so that Cass can hopefully get this curse removed, the blood curse that she got, through no fault of her own, might we add. So that's very much what this says. It does wrap everything up. We do get the briefest of reunions in the final page with the rest of the Bat family, which kind of annoyed me a little bit, not just because it was brief, although I would have liked it a little bit more, but it was the fact that Cass, it sounded like she wasn't even going to go and see them. It's only because the Bat family showed up where she's like forced into being like, okay, meet my families, all right, intermingle. So I would have liked a bit more of that because it's kind of what I've been looking forward to, and half a page was not,
No, way less of this blood stuff, and it's just like, I love, like, The Immortal Iron Fist is one of my favorite books of all time. I love different ninja clans clashing and fighting over the fates of things. But you threw Cassandra Cain in there, and we've done it for however many issues we've been doing it, and I'm just over. I'm glad the blood stuff's over. But this always felt tacked on. I don't understand still why we went to Spirit World. And yeah, I'm glad it's over. That's it. Yeah, and then they try to tie it in to KO with the reason that the curse gets put on her is because of Superman, because of the imbalance. There's a surplus of life-altering alpha energy. And yeah, and I was just like, okay, cool. Let me just... Cass wielding the blood, that's cool. But she wins. What are we doing now? Like, how is she... Let's get back. Let's get back to what we were doing. Yeah, she got rid of the blood curse, and it was basically like a technicality where the uncle character, who they kind of went through to get into Spirit World, he seems to turn on them for the sake of the blood demon or whatever the thing's called. But he comes back and then basically argues his point that because this is like the family's tried to betray you outside in this imbalance with her getting cursed without her will or without her like agreeing to it should also be fixed, and basically just argues it on a technicality, and the blood demon's like, yeah, very well, we'll do that, but Cassandra Cain, you owe me one day I'll call upon you. And she's like, yep, cool. Maybe one day, yeah. I do like the settlement for that was a business clause. Where it's like, no, look, at the end of the day, this family is like a business, and he went into business for himself, talking about his dad trying to change things around, and that's what he appeals to the blood god. Was like, look, she didn't do any of this. He was the one that messed around on you. So let me take responsibility here. Let's make it right. So I do appreciate there was some clarity there. It was just the accoutrement around it. That said, I do like what BROMBAL does here with the idea that Cass's blood is a curse, right? Because we know that's how she feels because of Shiva and Cain being her dads, and like her chosen family is the Bats, and now she has Tenji, and all of that. And so the idea that she finally gets to shed this tie of blood, and get rid of it. I didn't need all the mystical stuff to do all that. This could have been a family therapy session, really, at the end of the day. And her talking it out with one of the other Bat family members. Yeah, I think I almost would have appreciated that more. There's
some fun action here. I think the maybe the problem is that it's a bit of a double-edged sword. On the one hand, despite spending all this time with Kenji and Jaya, I still feel like the relationships with them are a little undercooked. But also, this whole idea that she's like drawn between this new family that she's discovered she has and the Bat family, and then you ask what the ending gets at, is that she's going to finally mix them together, it's been very one-sided, but by not having any of those Bat family connections be remotely kind of represented, or she's not really talked to anyone to sort of represent that side. Even if it's just a one-on-one conversation with Steph or something like that. So. At the end, when it's like, oh, that's been the point of all this, is her kind of like, realizing she has this family of her brother, of Jaya, and like that being like a separate branch of her, but an equally valid branch as to the Bat family, and how to have both of those at the same time. It felt kind of weird that, like, I don't know, we've been doing all this stuff, and some of the action in this issue is pretty fun. There's some nice moments where Cass does like a big pose or something, and she's using the blood to help fight her and all that stuff. And it's perfectly solid. The art's good and all that, but it does feel like we spend a lot of time doing that and a lot of time talking about the rules of this blood pact than actually advancing the relationships that she has with these other characters. So I don't know. I guess I would have liked to have dialed it back on the needless fantasy action and have more actual character development.
Like, if they were going to go that way and they'd make it, this is something that Shiva had done, right? Almost like her thinking that she was never going to have kids. And so she had passed this curse on to Cass inadvertently. You know what I mean? Something like that. When they threw in the alpha energy BS, I was just like, oh, come on, man. This is just lazy. You know, make it mean something if you're going to have it, you know, go through this. You know, like, we're already going to spirit world, but you're going to make it because of the alpha energy creating an imbalance.
Yeah.
That I wasn't a big fan of. But that said, there's a thing in here where they say, like, essentially blood makes you related, but loyalty makes you family. And I do feel like that's here when we see Tenji and Steph shaking hands and she goes, family, this is my family. I do like that bridging, is that, you know, that is what matters to Cass the most. These are the people that are here for her, you know? And so that's what, you know, the meeting of the families here at the end. I do like that sentiment. I just wish the road to get there was a little bit less wonky.
Yeah, I just wish it wasn't doing so much fantasy crap that I just don't care for. Like, I didn't really want to go into spirit world and deal with blood pacts and blood curses. Even just like doing the stuff with like the you know, with the mystical land that they were in last arc, where there was it's all about protecting this place and the poppies. Like that got a little bit tiring, and like a lot of the supporting characters started to just blend together in my head. And yeah, I mean, even in this issue, I was still having to remind myself who the guy was that was with them. I'm like, oh, he's the guy that's like his body was used to come here, kind of thing.
Yep. The Blood Master.
So I don't know. I just not loving the actual plot right now, even though I'm liking the characters, and I wish that more time was spent on that. I mean, I do like that, you know, when Steph and that show up, she just says Batgirl, and then Cass turns around and goes Batgirl. Yeah. I like that they both call each other Batgirl.
Yeah.
That's a fun bit.
I like all that. I do. But yeah, I want an issue of Tenji meeting the rest of the Bat family. I know this is Batgirl, that's the book, but I want to see this sheltered kid meeting these people. He has no idea who they are. You know what I mean?
Sadly, I don't think you're going to get it. I think next issue we're going to go into a new arc, and it'll happen off panel, you know, between books. It's like, oh, he's met them, but we're not going to actually go into it and see it.
Because I do, like, he was a character that I was annoyed with at first, but I like his interaction with Cass, where almost it is a yin and yang thing, where he was the one that was raised by the family to be, you know, the sheltered, only use your powers when you need to. You know, it's that discipline of martial arts versus Cass, who was raised to be a weapon. So the way that they interact with each other and just him going and wanting to be friends with all these people, whereas Cass was very hesitant and careful, and it's taken her time. I feel like there's potential there, and I feel like you're right. Like, we're not going to get that. That makes me sad.
Yeah, I just the more because I was alright with a little bit of like, oh, the unburied that were hunting her in the first arc. I didn't mind that they were a little bit mystical, but I hate how this book has become more and more mystical as it's went along, and that's not what I want from it. I don't like. I have no interest in Iron Fist. I don't care about Iron Fist, and I don't want that stuff in my back. I don't want that stuff in my Cassandra Cain book. I want Cassandra Cain to be a fighter in the real world, where she's taking on, I don't know, crime bosses and stuff. I don't know. I'm a little frustrated with the what the plots keep being right now. Even though I love a lot of the art quality. I love like a lot of the writing in terms of how the dialogue and stuff works. It's just it keeps doing plots that I'm not that interested in, and I just wish it would stop doing that. Well,
and even me, who I do like that mystical stuff, this is just, it's so, BROMBAL's doing it so unwieldy. Like, again, like when you talk about when magic and stuff shows up, you like when there's rules and there's clear and concise. And again, in other books that I've read with this type of stuff, when you're starting to get to the mystical elements of martial arts, there are rules. And here we're just like, oh, blood god. All right, we're in the spirit world. Oh, this is how this is playing out. And I'm just like, there's so much here that's being left on the table, things that are more interesting. We're just not doing it because we're rushing to an ending. And so I just looked up what the next issue is about, and I fear you're correct, Pete. We're We're just moving on.
Yep. I'm almost sure of it. Is it at least something that doesn't sound mystical, Matt?
Yes. She's investigating a death.
Good.
Of
Yeah,
somebody.
a murder mystery.
More
Great.
true crimey.
Yeah, great. That's what I want. Give me that at least.
And we're gonna have Steven Segovia on art for that issue.
Okay,
too.
that's not bad.
So Miyazawa getting a little bit of a break.
That's not bad at all. All right, Matt, what are you giving Batgirl 19?
I'm gonna give this, and this is gonna seem a bit brutal because you know how I grade things. I'm gonna give it a 6.5.
Yeah, I'm just gonna 6. You know, there's things to like in there, but like I'm glad this spirit world journey to the mystical tower is over.